Line WX is tangent to the circle. Find the measure of arc X, Y, Z. So we're trying to find the measure of this arc going around. So first we're going to use the linear pair theorem. Angle ZXW and angle ZXP are supplementary. The definition of supplementary means that the sum of the two angles is equal to 180. We can substitute the value we know for ZXW, which is 48. We can subtract both sides by 48. The measure of angle ZXP is 132. Now we can use that tangent intersect the chord theorem, which states that if a tangent and a chord intersects a point on a circle, then the measure of each angle formed is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So therefore, the measure of the arc must be twice the measure of the angle. Another way we can look at this is we'll use the tangent intersect the chord theorem, and we know that the measure of this chord, XZ, is twice the measure of this angle. So the measure of the chord is 96. We also know that the measure of a circle is 360. So therefore, the remaining part, which is arc XYZ, has to be 360 minus 96. 360 minus 96 is 264. Find the value of X. In this case, we're going to use angles inside the circle theorem. If two chords intersect inside a circle, then the measure of each angle is 1/2 the sum of the measures of the arcs. The measures of the arcs intercepted by the angle and its vertical angle. Alright, so it just states that angle 1 is equal to the average measure of these two arcs. Angle 2 is equal to the average measure of these two arcs. So let's find the value of X. I will label this angle as Y. We know that the measure of Y is equal to 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc and the intercepted arc of its vertical angle. Let's simplify. Take 1/2, and we know Y is equal to 118 degrees. Now we can see angle X and Y form a linear pair. Therefore, they are supplementary. Substitute our value in that we know that's Y. Subtract both sides by 118. We know that X is equal to 62 degrees. Another way of doing this is knowing that the entire circle is 360 degrees. X is equal to 360 minus the sum of these two arcs. Add, subtract, and take 1/2. We have 62 degrees. Find the value of each variable. First, we're going to use the circumscribed angle theorem that states that the measure of a circumscribed angle is equal to 180 minus the measure of central angle that intercepts the same arc, which means that they are supplementary. So these two angles are supplementary. Angle PRQ is supplementary to angle PSQ. Therefore, the measure of angle PRQ is equal to 180 minus 44, which is equal to 136. This is not either X, Y, or Z, but this will help us to find the values of X, Y, and Z. We know the measure of a central angle is equal to the measure of its intercepted arc. Therefore, the measure of angle PRQ is 136. That means the measure of arc PQ, its intercepted arc, is 136. This is a prime example when two things have the same measure, but they are not congruent. Their measures are equal, but they're not congruent because one's an arc and one's an angle. Then we'll use the measure of an inscribed angle theorem, which states that the measure of an inscribed angle is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. Therefore, this angle, PTQ, or the value of X, is equal to 1/2 the measure of that arc, which is 68 degrees. The measure of arc TQ is equal to 360, the measure of the entire circle, minus the measure of this arc, which is 136, and this arc, which is 60. Simplify, and we get 164. Another way we can find what the value of y is to use the inscribed angle of a circle theorem. This states that the measure of angle 2 is equal to half the difference of the two arcs. The measure of angle PSQ is equal to half the distance of these two arcs. This is the entire arc PTQ minus PQ. Substitute our values in. Again, PTQ is 60 plus y. We can lose the parentheses. Combine inside our brackets, 60 minus 136 is minus 76. Multiply both sides by 2, so we can get rid of that fraction. Add 76 to both sides, and we have y is equal to 164. For us to find value of z, we'll use the tangent and intersected chord theorem again, which states that if a tangent and a chord intersects a point on a circle, then the measure of each angle formed is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. We know the value for z is half the value of y, which is 82.